All right, folks. Happy Friday to you. It's end of the year. We got RBH Sound. We're at the facility virtually. Shane Rich, technical director. Dude, you've been at that company as long as I used to have hair. I mean, I had hair at one point. You were still there. That's how long you've been with RBH.
That's true. I
think you had more hair then too.
Oh, I had a lot more hair. Yeah, we're going down the same road. You may be going a little faster.
I'm going faster. Yes.
Yeah. It's been like, oh gosh,
20 something years,
29 years, I think. Going on 30. So yeah, it's been quite the ride.
It has been. And I've been watching the evolution of your products for over 2 decades now. And you've finally reached the final frontier with all of the active speakers, with FIR correction. These guys, if you don't know RBH Sound, you really should, because they're pushing the envelope of performance with their products. As you guys know, RBH Sound is a reference product in many of my systems, including my theater room. That's my theater room right there. This is me being happy listening to this awesome RBH active system. And now RBH is having an open house to celebrate. How many years have you guys been in business? Almost 30 years,
we've been
right?
in business since 1976. So
wow.
Add that all up.
Add that all up. It's a long time. They're doing an open house. They're doing lots of demos. They're also giving away headphones. So if you're an attendant there, you have the chance of getting some headphones. We have a coupon code that you guys could scan now between now and the end of the year, and you can get yourself a pair of EP3 headphones, wireless headphones, right?
Yeah, well, this is actually just gets you into the drawing for the headphones. So, we don't have enough headphones to give them to everyone that is here virtually with us on the live stream,
right?
But you will be entered into a drawing for them by scanning this QR code.
I would definitely recommend you guys do that, because I actually really enjoy the RBH headphones. In fact, I used your headphones once at a trade show to do interviews. I used a microphone on them, and it worked really well. So definitely check that out. So Shane, I want you to kind of give us a rundown of what you guys are demoing today. Maybe show us some products. And I know you got some new stuff up your sleeves, because you're coming to Audioholics Smart House in a few weeks, and you're going to be dropping off a bunch of products to expand our theater room system. So maybe we could get a sneak peek and look at what's going on there.
Absolutely. In fact, maybe what we ought to do is just start with a little bit of a walk around here so people can see our facility.
How's the weather there, by the way? This gentleman here saying he wanted to make it, but the weather's been iffy.
Yeah, I hear it's supposed to snow today, and it's really overcast, and it's looking like snow. In fact, let's do this. I'm going to switch the webcam to the front-facing camera, and we'll let you take a look and see what outside looks like. Weather at the moment, there's no snow yet, but
just cold.
Yeah, it's colder, and it is supposed to snow today, but don't let that stop you from coming in, because we've got some great things that we're going to be showing people, and we're going to be, of course, demoing all of the things you talked about. Plus, you have the ability to be entered in for a drawing. So I'm going to switch cameras once again so you can see this. This is my first experience with this front-facing camera here, but this is what we're going to be giving away for those people that come in to the open house, and you'll be able to be entered in to win this grand prize, which is a pair of our 61 SFR speakers. This is a one-of-a-kind set that we've made in the walnut finish at the moment, so it's the only one like this.
And the R is because you have the upgraded drivers, you have the phase plug aluminum cone, and you got the AMT tweeter, right?
Exactly. Yeah, all the reference components. And then the other thing we have going is, if you're coming in to see us today, then you will get a free set of our EP3 headphones. In fact, this is the headphone that you had mentioned, Gene, that you had used. I know. So they're a great headphone, really. They are wired. They're not wireless. I saw that somewhere you had announced that we're giving away some wireless headphones, but these are actually wired.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of what were the ones that we
Yeah, we
had?
had the EP. Hold it. Let's see. These are the EP3s. We had the EPSBs.
That's the ones. I'm sorry, I was
Yeah,
confusing them. Yeah,
EPSBs.
yeah. No,
So
those were great. I still have the EPSBs.
yeah, they were a great wireless headphone that we did. Also, we're going to be entering people in for a drawing with our new indoor-outdoor speakers. So anyone that comes in. Let me give you just a little bit of background on RBH. This is the founder, Mr. RBH himself. See if I can get this where there's not a terrible glare. Roger B. Hassing founded the company in 1976 in California and the Culver City area. And he was in California for a number of years, ended up doing some OEM type products for some real reputable manufacturers in the industry. And then after a few years, he ended up moving here to Utah. We're in Layton, Utah. If you haven't been to Layton, Utah, well, let's put it this way. If you're ever in Utah at all, you should be coming up to see us wherever you happen to be going in Utah or traveling through.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful over there.
Yeah.
I'll warn you guys, the weather is really dry, so make sure you bring saline if you go to
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So, we're showing off here in the entryway a pair of the new 661s that we're doing. You're familiar with this speaker. The biggest difference at the moment, we've had this type of product actually for a couple of decades. It just keeps evolving. This is our latest iteration of it, which we make the enclosures right next door in our wood shop here in Layton. And these, I think, are really the best sounding of all of the versions that we've done. They use our new air motion transformer type tweeter in the reference product. You're familiar with that. It's the same tweeter that we use in all of our reference grade type products that are this size. Now you have speakers that have a larger AMT tweeter, and we'll be showing those off here in a little bit. But
I wanted to bring something up about your aluminum driver when you were showing that. There's a lot of engineering behind that driver. I mean, that driver's been around for a couple of decades, but you noticed there was like a rubber surround by the phase plug. I mean, you guys did that to cut down on any kind of turbulence that goes through that phase plug.
Yep.
And the way you guys dampen the material of the aluminum and the rubber surround on that driver, I mean, the breakup modes are very gentle. So people say that, stiff drivers can have harsh breakup modes, but not if you control and dampen the cone like you guys have done. And that's just a great sounding driver. I just have to tell you, Shane, when you listen to any kind of percussion instruments using those kind of drivers, you can really hear the snappiness. You hear the leading transients in the music. And of course, the tweeter. I mean, I've always been a fan of when you guys use the ScanSpeak tweeter. That was my dream tweeter until you started getting into really good AMTs. And it took, you and I talked about AMTs for probably 2 decades. And 20 years ago, the technology just wasn't mature enough. There wasn't enough dynamic range in those drivers. They didn't play down low enough in frequency to cross them over to a two-way like they're doing now. So, I mean, just think about, as long as you've been at RBH, look at how the technology has evolved. I never thought we'd see the day we'd have AMT tweeters in your products.
Yeah, I agree. It took several years, and I'd been doing some R&D with AMT tweeters from various sourcing suppliers. And I was really questioning whether we'd ever use one because I was so unhappy initially with what was happening. There were some pretty prominent breakup modes at low frequencies, higher distortion, all kinds of things that fortunately with the right materials and damping processes, that we use in our products, all of those drawbacks have really been overcome. And now you're left with something that, like you said, it just has phenomenal dynamic range, great impulse response, transient response, and really mates very well with the metal cone drivers because they're incredibly linear through their pass band, that is the usable band of frequencies of the driver. And then we do things to, as you mentioned, dampen the breakup mode that happens in what we call the stop band, or where the crossover starts to roll the driver off at high frequencies. So just very linear, in our opinion, very neutral sounding loudspeaker products. I mean, we're a big fan, like you are, of products that have really good linearity, low distortion, and of course, high dynamic range. Exactly. In fact, speaking of those kind of things, let me just now show you where we are in this other room here. So this gives you an idea of some of the products that we're at least just showing off. Let me make sure I've got the right resolution here. Yeah, I've got 1080p. So
those are your on-wall products, the ones on the floor. And it's great that you have so many. RBH is not just a box speaker company. In fact, your core business, I think, is not only just commercial, but residential, in walls, on walls. I mean, you've got a product for everything: in ceiling, angled baffled products, in wall subwoofers, in ceiling subwoofers.
Yeah, here's our newest in wall subwoofer. Our
that's a 12, right?
Yep. Yeah, and that fits right within a 2x4 stud space. So this is our SI12 in-wall product, and it's brand new. We're just starting to ship these to customers right now. And here's some of the other products that you're also familiar with. That's
the center channel
that you're using in your system. And we have our tower speaker products in our signature series, and some of the on-wall speakers that we're also doing in the signature series, which these are also the reference version of these speakers. The standard version has essentially the same driver component, but without the phase plug. So it's really this driver, what you're using is a bass driver in the towers. But then we use a silk dome tweeter, fabric dome, I should say, for the tweeter. So now here is what I was really wanting to show you. Do you recognize this? How many times have we talked about this?
Yeah, modular, right? You can see so those are 10s on the side or 12s?
No, these are actually 8s. So we've got dual opposing 8s on the side. One on each side, and this speaker is modular, so our 661 or 61 bookshelf type speaker can be mated with it. It comes in a passive or active configuration. Primarily, we figure most people will be maybe using the subwoofer modules actively, powering them either with an internal or external amplifier. We offer both options for the powering the subwoofer section.
So that's a different 8-inch driver than what's in the tower to the left, right?
Yeah, so this is the same driver that you have in your SVTRSs. So
okay. It looks like the rubber surround is bigger on it.
No, it's the same. It's the same driver that's in this speaker. Actually, it has a really nice low resonance frequency. It's just a good all-around general purpose midwoofer, quite frankly. But it can do subwoofer type duty. In this case, we're not necessarily calling. Well, I guess maybe we are calling it a subwoofer. It is a woofer section.
Someone's asking if you could add a plate amp to that bass module.
Yes, yes, we do have a version of this that has the plate amplifier on the back. This one does not have that. I think it's just standard terminal cups, but this kind of gives you an idea. And so we are doing a passive. This is the passive version. And so you would hook your speaker wires from your amplifier on the bottom set of terminals, and then there's a jumper that goes up to the top set.
Oh, I was wondering why you had 4 sets down at the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how we're going to be hooking it up at your place when we get these in your system down there.
Yeah, we're looking at using these as wides, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So the
What's
cool
nice,
thing about the bass module is, if you think about it, it's an active stand, right? I mean, if
yeah,
someone wants a bookshelf speaker, they're going to take up the same floor space with a stand as they would by adding this bass module. But now you've turned
absolutely.
it functional. Now you can handle low frequencies with it. You could
Yeah,
have multiple subs in your system, including these. So it's just very cool.
yeah. So what's nice about this is, yeah, you really can use it with any speaker. If you have a bookshelf speaker that is roughly the size of this, which is about 8 inches wide, and the depth is, I want to say, about 11 inches on this. It's quite. I think this one-piece tower is like 15 inches deep, so it's not quite as deep. But
Any idea about what the price would be on a passive system like this, a modular system?
Not off the top of my head. I try and stay out of the the pricing area of the company, but I'm sure we'll be releasing pricing soon.
So that's what I love about your design approach. You don't look at budgets or anything. You just design the best product you can in that form factor, and then you let them figure out how much it's going to cost.
Exactly. That's what happens, and then we try and do at times meet certain market price points, but with our signature product, that's really not the case. We end up building the product the way we want it designed, and we want it to sound, and the performance characteristics, and then we figure out what it has cost us to do that, and and figure out the pricing from there. So it's pretty much not how I guess a lot of traditional companies would do it if they really want to make money. But it's been good for us in that I had someone tell me, well, it was one of my professors as I was going through engineering courses. And he said, people will always buy quality. And I really believe that that's true. And especially as you have a chance to audition products and check them out, not just our product, but any really good, high quality product at all is usually one of the best sellers. I'll never forget learning about, for instance, Porsche or some of the, performance vehicles out there that I would think, well, they're maybe a little beyond my budget, but how they sold so well and those companies were doing so well because people always wanted to buy high quality products.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us about the demo room. You have a high channel count surround system going.
Yeah, we're going to walk into that right now. At least one of them. The first one, this is our theater room.
Somebody's asking, where's Don done with the questions? He's actually traveling right now. I just talked to him like 5 minutes ago. He wanted to be on this, but he's on the road. So we'll have to catch him on the next one. But
yeah.
Good
old Don. I would welcome him anytime into our discussion. Just be ready for crazy.
Yes. He turns into volume 11 with Don.
We've had some great times and great experiences with Don. Don also, of course, is using some RBH product for reference in his theater system. And we'll be no doubt getting over to his place as well when I get down there in the next few weeks.
You got a Canadian user of your product here, Shane.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. We've done a lot of business in Canada over the years, quite frankly. We've had some great distributors and dealers up there. We really appreciate our Canadian fans that have put in so much RBH product over the years.
Yeah. So I just want to let people know, you're using now, we both have the same acoustically transparent screen. I've
Yeah.
recently made a change from the Screen Innovations to Sievertson, and I'm telling you guys, not all transparent screens are created equal. The Sievertson screen is just unbelievable. The picture quality is excellent. The audio is excellent. And Shane, you turned me on to the brand. I'm going to be doing a video on this. And now we have the same reference. We have the same speakers. The only difference we have now is I have a Storm processor. You have the Trinnov. There's pros and cons to each. Obviously, the Trinnov has advantages because you could do all of the FIR correction inside the box. But I've become a fan of, even though the Marani is a little bit cumbersome, I really do think the DAC section that's used in that DSP is excellent, especially the one you recently upgraded because it's got the Burr Brown DACs.
Exactly.
Fidelity is excellent on that system.
It is. And, in this system, in fact, we'll show you what we are using. Well, I guess we should have cleaned this up a little bit. Here's the thing. Our open house doesn't actually start for another couple of hours here. But we're just giving everybody a sneak peek. So we have a little bit of cleanup left to do. But anyway, this shows. So we've got the Marani DSP processor you're talking about there. We have our subwoofer amplifiers that are running the subwoofers in the system. One right here. This is our rear subwoofer, the SV1212, the same one you have in the back of your theater room.
That sub is a bruiser, guys. Let me tell you, that dual 12 has an output of a very high output 18.
Yeah. It's, well, because you guys have tested those. Wasn't it Josh Ritchie that did some testing on essentially the predecessor, the former version of it looked aesthetically a little bit different, but it uses the same drivers, same tuning and so forth. Maybe we ought to just mention, because people probably wonder, only one subwoofer in a system like
that's not how Audioholics does it.
Yeah, that's not how we do it. So this is our SI1212. You can't really see the driver down below that, but there is another 12 below that. And this is designed to either go in a facade like this, where it's essentially built out, or in the ceiling or in the floor, going between the joists in the ceiling and floor. And it's been really a very popular seller for us, for integrators, for a number of years, because it just has, again, essentially the same kind of performance you're getting out of the SV1212, but it's built, it's built in to the wall or into the floor or ceiling. So it's been no, the other thing we ought to show you, because you had some of these in your system.
I love that speaker.
And so our philosophy has always been to have the same quality of components in our in-wall or in-ceiling type speaker products in our signature series that we have in our freestanding products. So this is our on-wall 661 product, and again, the reference version, we do it both in white or black finishes.
Awesome. And, got some good feedback again from your Canadian customer here. Thanks for that.
So any other questions about what we've got going on in here? We are using the RBH amplifiers now to power
I have to bench test that amp, because let me tell you, that amp is a beast. You and I know, when we've done some Dolby Atmos demos in my theater room when I was getting things set up, I tripped a breaker because that amp was sucking everything out of the wall to power my front three speakers. That amp is no joke. It uses the Pascal Class D module. It sounds phenomenal. It drives my speakers really well. I definitely have to do a bench test on it, because as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of really good Class D amplification. I think it's basically supplanted the linear amp designs at this point.
I agree. And that's why we've switched over. We had the data sat type, the big bruiser, you know, class AB, that's well over 100-pound amplifier that we're using. It's a great amplifier, but we really are finding in terms of dynamic range and overall performance that these Class D amps can equal or exceed what you were getting in some of those really large Class AB power amplifiers a few years back. One more comment just on the Trinnov, because we're just borrowing this processor. We've been using it for the last month or so. I had some testing on a special custom speaker system that you know about that we're doing there in Florida for a customer, working with our integrator there. And I needed that for testing because that's what's going into the system. And they were generous enough, the people at Trinnov, they were generous enough to let us use it at least for our open house, and hopefully another month or two for some demos. So if you want to hear a magnificent AV processor, this is the Altitude 16.
Yeah.
And they just recently did an update where you can actually get another 4 channels out of it using the digital outputs, like you have with, you know, the Storm audio that you're using. You're using the digital outputs for the front channels. So these front 3 channels are an active speaker system using the active crossovers, that is, and each driver section is powered separately. So we have LCRs that use the DSP active crossover. Everything else in here is passive crossovers, single channel for the speakers, but ideally we have the option, and we're planning on upgrading everything in the future so that everything is active.
Nice. I mean, that's the final frontier in audio, right?
Yeah. That really is, in my opinion, and I have to admit, I was a real skeptic at one point in time, because I tried doing some active systems and I just wasn't.
I mean, back 20 years ago, you had Commodore 64 style processing. Now you've got state of the art, you know, computer power to really
Absolutely.
do
You can do those
effective
filters
FIR.
with such high resolution now, that it's just, I think it's a game changer, and you know that probably better than anyone, because your game got changed when you went from these.
Oh man, that's still, in my opinion, the best passive speaker I've ever heard.
To these.
Yep.
So, yeah, you know, it's been a little bit of a trip down memory lane for me. We've just configured this room recently to really showcase the 8Ts, and they are a fantastic freestanding passive speaker system, full range passive speaker system.
They're very hard to move up and down steps, though. Let me just warn you.
Yeah, they are at over 300 pounds a piece. But I have to admit, they don't sound as good here as I think they ultimately sounded in your room a few years back when you had these as your reference speaker system.
Yep.
But now, you know, here we are to the active SVTRSs. So those are
So just to let people know, those are 4 12-inch subwoofers, 3 8-inch mid-bass drivers, and then the AMT, which is like 1-inch by 4-inch, right? It's, I mean,
yes.
it's a pretty,
Yeah. And again, all active crossovers, FIR filters for the crossovers, as well as the optimization filters. And it just is pretty stunning in terms of the detail, soundstage. This room is used just for 2-channel. And so, you know, a lot of people see a big speaker like that, which, you know, essentially is, yes, subwoofers on the top and bottom, and they just think home theater. but I'm telling you, we've won over a lot of people that have heard these, initially thinking, well, that must just be a home theater speaker. But no, these are incredibly refined, and the kind of detail and again, dynamic range, full range response you get from these is just makes for an incredible 2-channel system. So
Are
now
those your feet on them, or are they isoacoustics?
these are the isoacoustics feet.
I thought so, yeah.
Yeah, these feet. I mean, I would probably do the. They actually come standard with a sort of a cone foot. Well, it's the ones that you still have, right? Yeah, you've got the.
I've got the unrivaled ones, yeah, but the cones, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, more of a spiked foot for the carpet, and it just so happened that these were already set up this way, and so we brought them up here with the isoacoustics. We may end up changing them out to the more the traditional cone and spiked, but they actually sound really great, even as they are with those feet on them in this
Yeah.
room. So the other thing that I guess I'm going to go over to this side. We've got the little sign there. Kenny went out of his way to make sure we had everything labeled so people would know. Now, let's talk about the other speaker system that this really was a result of you deciding that you weren't getting enough bass out
In
of
my
the
upstairs.
speakers in your
Yep.
upstairs with and I tuned. So let's kind of go back in time here a little bit, because here's the same speaker you had up in your upstairs 2-channel room,
Yep.
listening area, I should say. And it's actually quite bass weighted or prominent. And so it has a lot of bass, but your room was just
Difficult.
really one of the more challenging rooms I've ever heard for bass. The way you had things set up, and then your open staircase was just acting as a bass trap.
Yep.
So we knew we had to have something that was going to be a little more capable in terms of the dynamics and low end extension, all that. So that's what we have as also part of our new modular type system is this tower, which has the 821 up top. And it's amazing how close this speaker actually comes in performance to the bigger speaker, at least I should say what you're seeing here in terms of the, we call it the Schwartz stack. It's really called the SVTR, but it has the single 1212 subwoofer on the bottom, the 831 up top. The biggest difference here is you're missing one 8-inch mid-range, and then no, you've got a 12 there,
12. Yeah.
and you've got a 12 there. So you've a little hard to see in this picture, but you still have two 12s in that system, two 8-inch mid-range and the same AMT tweeter, and it's pretty remarkable how close those
Your
two
camera's
speakers.
a little blurry. I don't know if it's in the wrong
Let me
resolution.
see if let me switch back and forth here. Yeah, I don't know why it's not focusing. It's supposed to. Let me try changing front to back here.
So this new tower that you have, it's going to be available both in active or passive, right?
Yes, yeah, active or passive. I think most people with this type of speaker, I would.
That looks better a little
I
bit.
would, yeah. It's the autofocus is working a little better now. I switched over, but yeah, it really does need, at least for the extension, in my opinion, in this size enclosure, it's got to have a lot of power for the bottom end. Interestingly enough, it's still, for those of you that are speaker designers or do-it-yourselfers, even in this small enclosure, the overall Q of the system is essentially 0.707, which is sort of the ideal for a sealed system. So a lot of times, manufacturers, they kind of toss out the performance aspects or Q of the system in order to just fit a lot of drivers in a small box, and they end up with something that has relatively ill-defined bass, sort of one-note bass. That really is not the case with this subwoofer. Again, it has a system Q of 0.707, which is just right where you want it for a sealed system. So very good in terms of transients and low frequency extension. There is a boost that we can add. You can, sort of tailor it custom to your needs with the dedicated amplifier. These have the built-in amplifier because that's what you had requested. This, boy, hopefully I can get. That's
Sweet.
not great lighting.
Yeah.
Back here, but you can see, these have.
How much power is that in that amp?
Over 2,000 watts. Per channel. So, yeah, 2,000 watt amplifier built into each. It's really like 2,400 watts, but it kind of depends on what you can draw out of your wall.
Yeah. So these are sealed. These are sealed base modules, then, right?
Yep. Yep. Sealed system.
Nice thing about that is you could get a lot of room gain in a sealed system like that, especially if you have enough boost to really do some magical bass with those speakers. So I'm guessing we're going to see much better low frequency response in my room than any passive speaker we've stuck in this really challenging room, and we have the ability now to boost and EQ. I'm excited because this is the room that I do all my live streaming from, and this is the room that I want to listen to vinyl records, and I just haven't been able to enjoy vinyl in this room because I just can't get good bass with the speakers I have behind me. I just can't. It's just
right.
And especially when I compare it to my theater room, it's like everything is compared now to the theater room reference. And so,
yeah, as it should be, at least that's my feeling. But, with a speaker system like that, so that's what's so amazing about this new speaker system is that, if you're a little bit challenged for space, you don't have to give up much performance at all by going to these new modular towers that these at the moment, again, these are just brand new. We don't have any information on these on our website. We just built these up for this open house that we're doing and getting them down to your place, which you'll be reviewing them. So there will be more information to come shortly on this product in terms of pricing. But I can tell you the performance specs already. It essentially has the same performance, believe it or not, in terms of frequency response as the SVTRSs, essentially, below 20 hertz type extension from the woofer system. Now, of course, it's not going to have quite as much output capability, especially compared to the 12-inch driver system, the SVTRS. But if you're looking at just the 2-driver SVTRs, which is the shorter version here, then it's very, very comparable, really, in terms of dynamic range and the output frequency response, imaging characteristics. It's just, you're really getting essentially the same performance in a smaller package for less money as well. So we're really excited about it. We think it'll really allow us to get that type of performance speaker into people's hands that maybe couldn't afford it before or just didn't have the space to put that kind of speaker in there.
Slimmer towers always is a huge advantage if you can do it. You can even get better imaging characteristics. It blends into a room decor more. And yeah, this is exciting, Shane. What about any new subwoofers? Do you have any new subwoofers up your sleeve?
Somehow I knew it would eventually come to that.
We got to have Maximus Bassaholic rating.
Well, yes, we've had this discussion a number of times. So, um, before we show that, just one more look at essentially our concept speakers that you have uh, seen and heard and had in your house. And we are going to be doing a version of this that's a little more manufacturable, we'll say, and not quite the outrageous price point. So we're doing some things in terms of our production, which will allow for a speaker system. These unrivaled towers. This is our top end products, essentially, in the Signature series or our unrivaled speaker systems, and so that includes the SVTRS, but also
Whoa.
it will include, yes, uh, I know that's what you've been wanting to see.
Oh yeah.
Um,
That's the big boy right there. That's a 22, right? 22 inch driver.
21 inch,
21 inch
21-inch
driver. Yeah.
driver, yeah. Carbon fiber cone. We've been working hard and furiously, actually, this last year developing this driver, and now have it to the point where I'm really very happy with it. We were listening to it in this room yesterday with the Unrivaled Towers, and it was just supplementing the bass, and it's wow in terms of the impact. Uh, Again, so a lot of times, you can find relatively big drivers, put them in a relatively small box, but a real performance trade-off, as you know.
Mhm.
Well, that's not the case with this system. Once again, for those of you that know about loudspeaker subwoofer design, this sealed system has a QTS, or well, I should say the system Q of this driver in this box is 0.707. So very linear response, great transient characteristics, really tight and accurate bass. And yes, we will be getting a version of this down to you to check out shortly in the next few
Sweet.
weeks.
What's the X max on that driver? It's got a pretty big throw, I would imagine, right?
Oh yeah, it has. Uh, we'll just call it. I mean, it's got. So you've got X max, and then the mechanical limitation of the driver. The mechanical limitation is like 60 millimeters. The actual
Damn.
linear linear X max is in the 35 millimeter range. So it's it's got an enormous throw capability and over 4,000 watt power handling, and that's why we sell it. We'll be selling it with our system as a system with our subwoofer amplifier, the DA2602, which essentially is 2,600 watts per channel. But realistically, unless you have a 30 amp or you're on European voltage 220 or 240, you're going to be limited to about 2,000 watts per channel. But yeah, it's so this speaker, and it can run in either bridged or two channel mode, and it can provide over 4,000 watts for this subwoofer. So
Damn.
yeah, we're
Well,
excited.
that'll cure anybody's constipation, I would imagine.
Certainly can. I have actually felt nauseous at times as I've been testing that driver in different enclosures. Um, so
Wow, is that the driver on the table right there?
So no, these are our sort of traditional drivers, our in-house design drivers. That's the 12-inch there.
Right.
And yeah, we don't have one of the 21s out here on display, but I'm sure you'll get a look at it in the near future. But this is, what we have been using in the past is actually a peerless. It used to be VIFA type product. But we have, oh, I'm sorry, this is our, we do have still offer those, but we do have also our in-house driver that looks, that's our fabric dome driver. And then here's the AMT driver.
Yep.
And that's the one that's done for us by Arm Cantus. And then this is our in-house AMT that we do. Turn that around so people can, hopefully that'll focus.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I think that's basically the, you know, sort of the overview of what we're doing. And do you have any questions?
I'm sure if I do, I'll be asking you in a couple of weeks when you come and visit us, and we start doing some of these, showcasing some of these products that you have here. I'll be coming up with a list of questions for you. We'll do some follow-up videos as well. Shane, this is awesome. I mean, I'm excited for you guys for this open house. If you're in the area of Utah, or if you're within a driving distance, I do recommend you go there. I know it's last minute notice, but it's today from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Yep. So it starts in an hour. And again, we've got some nice giveaway prizes for people that come in. And
yep, don't forget to scan this for a chance if you're online, if you want to win the EP3s.
Yeah. And yeah, it's we look forward to people at any time coming in. We enjoy demoing our product for any time anyone comes in, but especially today, we're really geared up and set up for it. So if you have an opportunity, you're in the Utah area and can drive in to see us, we'll be here at least until 9 o'clock this evening.
Awesome. Well, Shane, I appreciate you bringing all this product information to us. I hope you have a very successful open house. Guys, Happy New Year to you. This is our last broadcast until next year, but we've got a lot of great stuff planned for 2023. I'm excited. Shane, I'm sure you're excited with all these new product launches as well.
For sure.
All right, guys. Well, that is a wrap. Don't forget about our Patreon channel at patreon.com/Audioholics. We appreciate your support. You get direct access to me if you want to suggest video topics or ask questions. And until next time, my friends, keep listening and have a happy new year.